Cheng Xian's childhood sweetheart and I got pregnant at the same time. To protect her reputation, he claimed the child she was carrying was his. Meanwhile, my child became branded as a fatherless bastard. When I confronted him, Cheng Xian responded coldly. Qingran had always been the good girl. She couldn't bear the gossip about being pregnant before marriage. That day, looking at the man I'd loved for 7 years, I finally understood what it felt like to fall out of love. Later came the day my family, ashamed of me, forced me to get an abortion. He was abroad, accompanying his childhood sweetheart as she peacefully awaited the birth of their child. When I returned, I had already terminated the pregnancy and vanished from his life forever. During my 3rd month of pregnancy, Cheng Xian's childhood sweetheart also became pregnant. We ran into each other at the hospital, never expecting to overhear such a conversation. "Xian, feel our baby. I think he just moved." A tender glow softened Cheng Xian's face as he let Song Qingran guide his hand to her belly. The next moment, when the doctor called my name, Cheng Xian spun around abruptly. He stared at me in panic, his words failing him again and again. I slowly walked up to him and slapped him hard across the face several times. His cheeks were red and swollen from my blows, yet he still didn't utter a single word. "Cheng Xian, give me an explanation." Seeing me hit Cheng Xian, his childhood sweetheart Song Qingran was heartbroken. She shoved me aside and spread her arms protectively in front of Cheng Xian. "I'm the one carrying Xian's child. If you have any issues, deal with me." In that instant, my worst fears were confirmed, and the tears I'd been holding back began to fall against my will. Seeing me cry, Cheng Xian pushed past Song Qingran's attempts to stop him and pulled me into a comforting embrace. He whispered soothingly, "Meow meow, don't cry. The baby in her belly isn't mine." Song Qingran pouted and began sobbing, wiping away her tears. She stared pitifully at the man before her, as if he had done something to wrong her. "Xian, you promised to be my child's father. How could you tell her?" Cheng Xian wiped my tears while giving her a cold, disapproving look. "Jiang Miao is my wife. She has the right to know the truth." Song Qingran immediately stopped crying, a cryptic smile playing on her lips. "Oh. Does she even know the child she's carrying is a bastard?" At that moment, Cheng Xian's body began trembling uncontrollably, his face turning pale. Song Qingran continued gloating from the sidelines. "Brother Xian did all this for me. He was afraid I'd face public scrutiny, so he had to sacrifice his own flesh and blood. Jiang Miao, my child will be Xian's firstborn. Since it's unseemly for your child to be called a bastard, I'll have Xian adopt him as his ward." I stared at the man who now felt like a stranger, thrashing wildly in his arms like a madwoman. Cheng Xian's eyes reddened, his voice hoarse as he repeated "I'm sorry" over and over. It took me a long, tearful while before I could finally form the question, is Song Qingran really that important? Important enough to let our child bear the stigma of being called a bastard? Cheng Xian paused, then spoke with difficulty. "Qingran has always been a well-behaved girl since childhood. She couldn't handle the gossip about being pregnant before marriage." He held my exhausted, slumped form tightly against his chest, murmuring words that seemed meant for both of us. "Meow meow, I won't let you bear this reputation for long. Once Qingran's matters are settled, we'll make our child's identity public." That day, I gazed at the man I had loved for 7 years. That was the first time I understood what it felt like to fall out of love. Cheng Xian led me to his car, intending to drive me home, but as soon as the door opened, I saw the interior crammed with Song Qingran's personal belongings. Extra cushions were placed behind every headrest, clear evidence of how much importance Cheng Xian placed on the safety of Song Qingran's child. Song Qingran brushed past me and swaggered into the passenger seat. Xian Gij spent ages making this himself because he was worried I might feel uncomfortable. "Don't stand on ceremony, hop in the car." Cheng Xian coldly snapped at his childhood sweetheart, but Song Qingran wasn't the least bit afraid of him, coquettishly pleading, "Brother Xian, don't be so harsh with me, you'll frighten our baby." Despite Song Qingran's utterly unconvincing acting, Cheng Xian actually fell for it. Nervously, he reached out to touch his childhood sweetheart's belly, his voice softening. What could a mere 3-month-old fetus possibly be scared of? I silently watched their interaction and quietly closed the car door. In that moment, the child I had once so eagerly anticipated now stirred thoughts of not wanting it. Shortly after I got home, Cheng Xian rushed in from outside with a deep frown. He tried to explain himself to me. Meow meow. You know how dire Qingran's family situation is. I couldn't just stand by and not help her. You understand where I'm coming from, don't you? That day, Cheng Xian's childhood friend rushed to his office in tears and trembled in his arms. Cheng Xian carried his childhood sweetheart from the doorway to the sofa, coaxing her in a gentle tone, but before he could calm her down, Song Qingran's parents stormed in with aggressive demeanor. Tell us, who is the father of the child you're carrying? Song Qingran wished she could bury her entire body in his embrace, not daring to move a muscle. The Song family was a distinguished scholarly household, and they held their only daughter to particularly high standards. Song Qingran didn't even have a boyfriend, yet she found herself pregnant. In a moment of panic, Song Qingran blurted out that the child was his. Cheng Xian's heart softened in that instant, and against all odds, he actually acknowledged it as his own. A pained expression crossed Cheng Xian's face, as if willing me to understand how difficult this was for him. With anguish weighing heavy on my heart, I asked my final question. Why not get an abortion? Cheng Xian couldn't meet my gaze, his words coming in broken fragments. Qingran, she wants to keep the baby. Once I have a child of my own, she's afraid her child will be labeled a bastard. I burst into tears before he could finish speaking. I stared at the man before me with utter contempt. So for her sake, you're willing to let your own child bear the stigma of being called a bastard, is that it? Cheng Xian suppressed the ache in his heart and finally closed his eyes. I'm sorry, but Qingran begged me. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. I wiped the tears from my face haphazardly and took a deep breath. Then get rid of the baby inside me. No. Cheng Xian's eyes instantly blazed with fury, his voice as cold as ice. I won't let go of either you or the child Qingran is carrying. Afraid I'd say more. Cheng Xian fled from me in disarray. The next day, over a dozen bodyguards appeared around our house. He wouldn't let me go out anymore. He confiscated my phone, cutting me off from the outside world. I don't understand why he insists on keeping this child he clearly doesn't value, especially after already accepting Song Qingran's child as his own. Why does he still have to hold on to this child he clearly doesn't care about? Cheng Xian has kept me confined here for what's been a stable 3-month period. The doorbell rang. It was Song Qingran and her family, accompanied by movers. The moment she saw me, Mother Song sneered sarcastically. Some people really have no shame, carrying a bastard child. How dare they still cling to the title of Mrs. Cheng? My poor foolish daughter has suffered so much for the sake of her Xian brother. Father Song cleared his throat involuntarily. His eyes filled with contempt as he looked at me. All right, let's not subject your eyes to this mess any longer. Hurry up and pack our daughter's things. A crowd of people at the entrance, laden with bags and parcels, made their way upstairs. Seeing that the living room was now free of outsiders, a mocking smile curled at the corner of Song Qingran's lips. So what if Xian married you? So what if my child isn't biologically his? In his heart, you still can't compare to me in any way. I saw Song Qingran's smug smile and immediately swung my arm at her. I used all my strength, even sitting on top of her and slapping her repeatedly from both sides. Song Qingran lay on the ground, howling in pain. In the end, Cheng Xian, who had rushed back from outside, pulled us apart. Song Qingran picked the wrong person to mess with. A woman with a broken heart has nothing left to fear. Song Qingran's loud sobbing drew his parents downstairs. His mother shot me a venomous glare and demanded Cheng Xian throw me out. With her around, I'm not comfortable having our Qingran stay here. Xian, if you don't send her away, I'll take Qingran back home with me. The Song family is perfectly capable of supporting one more child. Your Cheng family can just keep clinging to that bastard child of yours. Song Qingran lifted her gaze slightly from Cheng Xian's embrace and shot me a veiled, knowing smile. Cheng Xian remained silent for a long while. Just as Madame Song began to think her threat was working, Cheng Xian slowly released Song Qingran and came to stand by my side. I could never ask my wife to leave. Auntie, please take Qingran back to stay with you for now. At that moment, Song Qingran started crying and making a scene again. In the end, it was Song's father who smoothed things over, giving Qingran away to save face and stay. My room was downgraded from the best room in this villa to a cramped, dimly lit storage space downstairs. Cheng Xian said that for the sake of the baby in Song Qingran's womb, I'd have to put up with this arrangement for a while. Meow meow, don't worry, I promise I'll move you to a different room before you give birth. Honestly, I no longer cared where I lived. I won't bring a child into this world that nobody wants. It would be cruel to subject them to a life of suffering. Probably on Cheng Shi's instructions, Song Qingran continued living in this house, but stopped provoking me altogether, acting as though I were invisible. I spent every day racking my brain trying to figure out how to get in touch with the outside world. Eventually, my attention landed on Song Qingran, but she never gave me the chance. Brother Xian forbade you from leaving. How could I betray him by helping you? Jiang Miao, you simply don't understand the bond between us. Just as Xian has always supported me, I would move heaven and earth to help him achieve whatever he desires. At that moment, I caught a glimpse of unwavering determination and sincerity in Song Qingran's eyes. Perhaps I've been wrong all along. Between Cheng Xian and Song Qingran exists an unshakable trust that leaves no room for outsiders. So Cheng Xian would rather neglect his own wife and child to help his childhood sweetheart. Every night after returning home, Cheng Xian would tell bedtime stories to the unborn child in Song Qingran's womb. It was already past 10 in the evening when he knocked on my door. I opened the door for him, and for a moment we stood there in silence. I turned and lay back on the bed, noticing the glimmer of tears in Cheng Shi's eyes before he quickly wiped them away. The room I live in is even worse than the housekeeper's quarters. It barely fits a bed, with no space to even sit down. Every room in the house has been taken over by Song Qingran. One serves as her child's nursery, another is her music practice room, and the rest are dedicated spaces for storing her belongings. Even Cheng Xian is now living with Song Qingran to make it easier to care for her. Cheng Xian stood by the bed and silently pulled a cigarette from his pocket. He was about to light it when he realized there were no windows in the room, so he put it back. I said impatiently, "What do you want?" "I'm trying to sleep." Cheng Xian lowered his gaze, his tone laced with a barely perceptible pain. "Meow meow, are you really that determined to get rid of our baby? Do you really have so little faith in my love for you?" This was the first time Cheng Xian had ever said he loved me, but now, I can no longer tell if those were his true feelings, or just a ploy to convince me to carry the pregnancy to term. I closed my eyes, surrendering to fate as 2 silent tears traced down my cheeks. "I'll keep the baby. Please give me back my phone. You know I have no one to contact anyway." Cheng Xian drew me into the crook of his arm, his voice trembling with barely contained emotion. "All right, whatever you want to do, I'll go along with it." The moment I got my phone back, the anxiety that had been weighing on me for days finally subsided. No one knew that I, as the Jiang family's adopted daughter, was merely a pawn in their marriage alliance with the Cheng family. In truth, I had already found my biological parents 3 years prior, but back then, I chose to stay and marry Cheng Xian instead of leaving with them. Though it pained them, they still respected my decision. Before leaving, they gave me a phone number and said, "If life ever becomes unhappy, Mom and Dad will come get you anytime." I never paid much mind to those words before, but now they're my only lifeline. 6 months into Song Qingran's pregnancy, she suggested going abroad for her maternity care. Cheng Xian hadn't planned on going so early, but Song Qingran kept pestering him until he had no choice but to agree in the end. As he was leaving, he told me, "Meow meow, I promise I'll be back to be with you before our baby is born. I know I've been unreasonable this time. Once Qingran's matter is settled, I'll make it up to you twice over." I obediently nodded to everything he said. Cheng Xian stared at me for a long time, and I couldn't tell if he had noticed something. It wasn't until Song Qingran called out to him that he slowly averted his gaze from me. As he left, Cheng Xian walked very slowly, turning back once more to look at me standing by the door. Suddenly, he spun around and ran back, pulling me into a tight embrace. There was a panic in his voice I'd never heard before. "Meow meow, I'm not leaving. I won't even care about Song Qingran's child anymore. I want to stay with you and our baby." As the words hung in the air, my heart suddenly clenched. I let the man hold me without reacting, saying calmly, "If you could truly abandon Song Qingran without a second thought, you wouldn't be Cheng Xian. Don't test me, whether I'm angry or not. You're still leaving." I could feel the man's tense body relax slightly, and I secretly let out a sigh of relief too. Amid Song Qingran's urging, Cheng Xian reluctantly let go of me. Just as he was about to get in the car, the housekeeper suddenly called out to him, "Sir, perhaps you should have your wife move upstairs. Her current room is too damp." Cheng Xian pondered for a moment, visibly reluctant. Meow meow, you can move to the guest room for now. Don't touch Qingran's things, I'm worried she'll be upset when she returns. I replied with a simple okay. Only after Cheng Xian's plane took off did I truly feel at ease. I burst into laughter in the spacious living room, seeing me finally smile. The housekeeper was delighted too and had the kitchen prepare my favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. I glanced at my phone, 12 more hours. My birth parents were coming to get me. Within half an hour of my call, they were already on a private jet heading my way. I told them Cheng Xian had over a dozen bodyguards watching my every move. The middle-aged man on the other end of the line let out a haughty chuckle. Meow meow, forget about one Cheng family, we wouldn't bat an eye at 100 of them. You're the sole heir to this family, all of this will be yours when you return. Though I couldn't tell if this biological father I'd only met once was exaggerating, yet his words managed to soothe my restless heart. But before I could finish my meal, Song Qingran's parents burst in unexpectedly with Cheng's parents and a group from the Jiang family. They looked down on me with contempt and disdain written across every face. Mrs. Cheng tossed a divorce agreement in front of me, demanding I sign it. Get an abortion, sign the papers, and the Cheng family will let bygones be bygones. Song Qingran's mother chimed in from the side. If it were me, I'd make sure everyone knew I'd ruin her reputation completely. The Jiangs certainly raised quite a daughter. Mr. Jiang's father, feeling his pride was wounded, stepped forward and slapped me across the face. You little brat, just you wait. The aunt who tried to step in and protect me was forcibly held back, sitting at the table. I felt a profound sense of helplessness. That day, I memorized every single one of their disgusting faces. I picked up the pen and signed my name on that piece of paper. Just before the abortion, I spoke up calmly. What if the baby I'm carrying is Cheng Xian's, but Song Qingran's isn't? Will you regret this? I'm genuinely looking forward to that day. Without giving them a chance to respond, I stood up and entered the hospital under their escort. The moment the child was aborted, I broke down in uncontrollable tears. Why does it still hurt to let go of a child even I couldn't bring myself to love? When I woke up, 2 people were standing by my bedside. They were weeping inconsolably on either side of me, completely unaware that I had regained consciousness. It took a nurse passing by the room to finally get their attention. Would you 2 give it a rest? He's been awake for quite some time now. They stopped crying instantly, and I gave them a faint smile. Seeing how weak I was, my biological father was absolutely furious. I'll make sure those who hurt you pay the price. My mother gently stroked my forehead, her touch as warm as it had been in my dreams. Meow meow, don't be scared, Mom and Dad will always be here for you. Ever since the day I was adopted by the Jiang family, I've been wondering, what would it feel like to have parents by my side, while the Jiang children could skip countless training classes just by whining a little. I worked without a single day off, rain or shine. Eventually, they molded me into a presentable marriage candidate. Just as I had hoped, the Jiang family paraded me at various banquets and matchmaking events, showcasing me like a commodity for appraisal. Had Cheng Xian not proposed to me, they would have married me off to the highest bidder. Can you imagine what it feels like when someone you've secretly loved for years suddenly proposes to you? Back then, I was so thrilled I couldn't sleep for 2 whole days and nights, with this irrepressible secret joy lingering in my heart. Everyone says I should hate Cheng Xian, despise his fickleness and heartlessness, resent him for hurting me over his childhood sweetheart. But honestly, I don't really hate Cheng Xian that much. He simply chose the one he cared about most among all the people he held dear. I don't hate him, but I resent that he's already made his choice, yet he refuses to let me go. This resentment lingers longer than hatred, and is far less forgivable. After I had fully recovered, my biological parents took me with them. We boarded their private jet and embarked on my new life. Far away overseas, Cheng Xian, who was accompanying his childhood sweetheart during her pregnancy, suddenly felt a dull ache in his chest. Ever since the day he left, he had been haunted by an indescribable sense of unease. The feeling was so overwhelming he couldn't sit still. He called Jiang Miao's cell phone over a dozen times, but no one answered. Cheng Xian was completely panicked. He had to go back, had to find Jiang Miao, but Song Qingran stopped her at the door, standing opposite him with her visibly rounded belly. Her pitiful sobs tugged at his heartstrings. And Cheng Xian immediately gathered her into his arms to comfort her. Pregnant women are naturally more sensitive. He really should have known better. How could he have left her all alone in a foreign land? Whatever, he's already made all the arrangements at home. No one can lay a finger on Jiang Miao. Jiang Miao must have thrown a fit because he went abroad to accompany Qing Ran during her pregnancy. Cheng Xian always knew Jiang Miao wasn't as easygoing as she appeared. After he left, she was definitely jealous. Cheng Xian rubbed his forehead, let out a few helpless chuckles, yet felt a faint glimmer of delight. That evening, Cheng Xian called home, and the housekeeper answered the phone. Is Miao Miao asleep? She's not answering my calls. Under the weight of countless eyes filling the room, the housekeeper hesitated before speaking. Madam has gone to bed. She's likely upset with you and Miss Qingran, and said she won't speak to you until you return. Cheng Xian let out a long sigh, his tone carrying a sense of relief he'd never felt before. I knew it. She's always been the jealous type. The housekeeper added, Sir, it would be best not to call your wife before returning home. As you know, she's pregnant and shouldn't be upset. If there's anything you need, you can always ask me. Cheng Xian knew Jiang Miao's temperament well. He understood her anger wouldn't subside until he returned. After all, it was only 3 months until he could return home to stay with her and their child for good. After hanging up, the housekeeper was drenched in sweat, her clothes completely soaked through. Mother Song remarked, 3 months is more than enough for Qingran to capture Xian's heart. By the time he returns, he'll probably have forgotten all about that fickle woman. Mother Cheng nodded absently. She knew her son well. His feelings for Jiang Miao were genuine. She kept wondering what Jiang Miao had really meant by those parting words, though she knew it must have been a desperate lie from that woman, yet she could never shake the memory of how Jiang Miao had looked at them. Madam Cheng only snapped out of her thoughts when someone called her to leave. 3 months flew by, and Song Qingran gave birth to a son. Since Song Qingran needed to recover and the baby was too young, it wasn't convenient for them to return home just yet. To make matters worse, postpartum Song Qingran became even more tearful than during her pregnancy, making it impossible for Cheng Xian to leave her side. As a result, they ended up staying abroad for another 6 months. Cheng Xian was far from calm. He wished he could fly to Jiang Miao's side immediately to care for her, yet he couldn't bring himself to leave Song Qingran behind in her current state. His heart remained with Jiang Miao, while his body lingered abroad like an empty shell, according to their housekeeper. Jiang Miao had given birth to their son. That day, he couldn't find the words to describe the sheer joy he felt. Though he had promised Qingran to cherish her child as his own, it still felt different from the connection he had with the child Jiang Miao bore him. Cheng Xian finally had a son. He now has a son with the woman he loves. He had made up his mind to raise both children together. They would grow up as the closest of brothers. Cheng Xian was burning with impatience to return home. And nothing could hold him back now. When Song Qingran heard he was returning to the country, she knew she couldn't put it off any longer. She secretly made a phone call to Mother Song. Seeing Cheng Xian looking absolutely over the moon, Song Qingran grew a bit concerned. Mother Song smiled and comforted her daughter. Silly girl, I think childbirth has addled your brain. Your son is Cheng Xian's own flesh and blood. What are you worried about? Even if that woman Jiang Miao's child were still around, it would be a bastard. Do you really think Cheng Xian would raise it as his own? Song Qingran's words caught in her throat. With no one able to understand her turmoil, she couldn't possibly tell her mother that this child wasn't actually Cheng Xian's. She had no choice but to swallow all her anxiety. Now she could only hope that she and their child held more weight in Xian's heart than Jiang Miao. The day Cheng Xian returned to the country, the house had already been emptied. After I left, Cheng's mother disposed of everything in the house, so when Cheng Xian returned home, he was completely stunned. Cheng's parents, Song Qingran's parents, and the Jiang family were all there waiting for him. Rather than letting Cheng Xian find out and cause a scene, it was better to take the initiative and let him know the truth. Cheng Xian stood at the doorway, staring at the empty house. His legs feeling as heavy as lead, his voice carried a low, subtle tremor. Where's Jiang Miao? Where's my son? Seeing the hurt in her son's expression, Mrs. Cheng felt convinced that she had made the right decision back then. She produced the divorce papers I had already signed and said calmly, "You're already divorced. She didn't go through with the pregnancy. We lied to you." Cheng Xian stared at the divorce papers placed in his hands. fat tears rolling down his cheeks. How could this be? She promised she'd wait for me to come back. Song Qingran rushed back from the airport, holding her child in her arms. After getting off the plane, Cheng Xian didn't wait for her at all and hurried over alone. Seeing Cheng Xian crying his heart out, she felt a pang of sorrow in her heart, seeing her daughter and grandson return. Mrs. Song quickly took the child from Song Qingran's arms. She carried it over to Cheng Xian for him to see. Xian, this is your real son. That bastard Jiang Miao is gone for good riddance. Get away from me. Cheng Xian's eyes blazed with fury as he shoved her away with brute force. The child slipped from Mother Song's arms and nearly fell to the ground. Father Cheng took the child and stepped forward, slapping Cheng Xian to the floor. Cheng Xian, this child is the Cheng family's first grandson. He matters more than you do. Father and Mother Song exchanged a discreet glance, subtle smiles playing on their faces. Cheng Xian lay on the ground laughing like a madman. He laughed until he was gasping for air, coughing repeatedly. How dare a bastard compare to my child? Did Miao Miao not tell you? The child in her womb is mine. Cheng Xian rose from the floor and reached out to gently tease the child in his father's arms. His eyes burned with overwhelming hatred. Seeing Cheng Xian's alarming state, Song Qingran snatched the child away and hid behind her mother. Cheng Xian noticed Song Qingran's terrified expression and the shocked reactions of everyone else. He chuckled again, walking up to each person and repeating the same words over and over. Jiang Miao is carrying my child, the true firstborn grandson of the Cheng family. Finally, he stopped in front of Mother Song and pointed at Song Qingran, declaring, her child is the bastard. She's the one who tried to pin this bastard on me. Ha ha ha, we've all been fooled by this woman. Everyone in the room was stunned that day. The Jiang family was filled with the deepest regret, glaring at Song Qingran's family as if they were mortal enemies. Mr. and Mrs. Song, who cared deeply about saving face, scurried away like rats fleeing the light. All Mr. and Mrs. Cheng could think about was what Jiang Miao had said to them that day. She did it on purpose, deliberately made them lose the Cheng family's first grandson. She wanted them to live with unbearable regret, overwhelmed by emotion. Mrs. Cheng choked on a breath and fainted. Cheng Xian watched the chaos unfolding around him with cold detachment, not moving a muscle. He knew his reckoning had only just begun. It wasn't until my biological parents brought me home that I realized they hadn't been exaggerating. In this place they called home, even basic transportation required a private vehicle, as fate would have it. My biological father's surname is also Jiang, so I never had to change my name. The Jiang family is a centuries-old reclusive clan with countless enterprises across the country, and I am its sole heir. My disappearance back then was the result of being targeted during internal family strife over power and influence. Later, my father purged the family ranks with swift and decisive action. They searched for me over 20 years and never gave up. There was no shortage of internal opposition to my sudden emergence as the heir, but outwardly, everyone treated me with utmost respect. My father said as long as he was around, no one would ever let me suffer any injustice, but I wasn't willing to do that. During my over 20 years with the Jiang family, I had become adept at learning new things. Now that I'm back and given such a big platform, I want to carve out my own path through my own efforts. Over the course of 3 years, I doubled the intensity of my learning compared to my time with the Jiang family. Through my hard work, I achieved remarkable results and gradually gained a number of supporters. That day, I had just signed a multi-billion-dollar contract. My father called me into his study. In the study, besides my parents, there was a tall stranger. There was something oddly familiar about his silhouette. It wasn't until the man turned to look back at me that I realized who he was. On the day I ran into Cheng Xian and his childhood sweetheart at the hospital, I ended up taking his taxi home. I cried the whole ride, using up every last tissue he had. When we arrived, he absolutely refused to take my fare. In that moment, it was the kindness of this stranger that allowed me to glimpse a faint glimmer of the world's beauty. So it turns out my family had already placed someone by my side back then. The man bowed respectfully to me, maintaining a strictly professional demeanor. Good day, young mistress. My father ran a hand through his hair and introduced him to me with an almost ingratiating tone. Meow meow, this is the fiancé I've chosen for you. If you're not happy with him, don't worry, we can always find someone else. No one noticed that when the idea of replacing him was mentioned, the man's body briefly tensed up, and his disappointment was plain for anyone to see. I don't actually plan to stay single my whole life. Life needs a little spice after all. But I could never marry someone who's practically a stranger to me. Let him start as my assistant first. We can discuss marriage later. As soon as these words were spoken, both men in the study looked delighted. After the laughter subsided, my father kept me behind and cautiously asked me, "Meow meow, are you still thinking about that Cheng Shi-yang?" His sudden question left me momentarily dazed. Seeing my distracted expression, my father became even more convinced that I hadn't forgotten him. He muttered a few words to himself for no apparent reason. Did I go a bit too far with this? My hearing is sharp, so I caught every word. Father cleared his throat uncomfortably and began explaining to me at a measured pace. After I left, my parents learned the whole truth about what happened. To avenge me, they brought down the Jiang family's company and the Cheng family's business. As for the Song family, who cared so much about their reputation? The scandal surrounding Song Qingran became public and caused quite a disgraceful scene. Several men came forward claiming to be the child's father. The incident so enraged Song's parents that they both ended up in the hospital. Honestly, Song Qingran being pregnant wouldn't have been a big deal, it's just that her methods were utterly revolting. After the Cheng family went bankrupt, Song Qingran married Cheng Xian, bringing their child with her. It suddenly dawned on me, no wonder I'd inexplicably gained a fiancé out of nowhere. So they're worried I might blame him out of lingering affection. Seeing how miserable Cheng Xian is now, I let out a helpless chuckle, feeling grateful to have family by my side. When my daughter turned 2, I returned to China with my parents. My parents had been considering moving back to China for quite some time. If I hadn't been pregnant at the time, they would have gone back long ago. My daughter took my surname, and I named her Jiang Baobao. I hope she'll always be cherished like a little baby. Setting foot on this homeland again, my state of mind is entirely different from when I first arrived. I'm blessed with so many wonderful things in my life now, the unwavering love from my parents, the thoughtful care from my husband, and the heartwarming affection from my daughter. I never imagined the world could be this small after all these twists and turns. I somehow crossed paths with Song Qingran again. But she's nothing like the person I remembered at all. As I walked past her, I never expected Song Qingran to spot me in the crowd with just one glance. She suddenly dropped her shovel and rushed over to me. I thought she was coming to pick a fight, but to my surprise, she broke down in tears right in front of me. Her tone was almost pleading. "Jiang Miao, please go see Xian. Just one meeting is all I ask, afraid I might leave." She clutched my sleeve desperately and sent the little boy beside her running upstairs to call for someone. There was also a girl slightly older than my daughter, holding Song Qingran's hand. My husband moved to pull Song Qingran away, but I shook my head at him. If I don't even have the courage to face Cheng Xian now, then these past few years have truly been wasted. Cheng Xian stumbled down the stairs reeking of alcohol, and my daughter immediately covered her nose. I asked my husband to hold our daughter and wait for me further away. Seeing me frown, Cheng Xian sniffed his own clothes and gave an awkward, strained smile, took a few steps back. "Meow meow, how have you been?" I nodded. The atmosphere grew tense for a moment, and I started feeling impatient. Song Qingran couldn't stand watching any longer. She nudged Cheng Xian forward. "Brother Xian, just say it already. Tell her you've been thinking of her every single day, that she's the one you love most. That you've been torturing yourself all these years to atone." Tears streamed down Song Qingran's face. Cheng Xian didn't utter a single word. His gaze simply rested on my husband and daughter. Then he asked me, "Does he treat you well?" Seeing Cheng Xian putting on that feigned look of devotion, I couldn't resist taking a jab at him. "Cheng Xian, who are you putting on this grieving act for? You're just patting yourself on the back. Haven't you already gotten married? If you're married, you should treat your wife and children better. Can't you see how much they're struggling?" Song Qingran, once pampered and cherished, now had hands rough and calloused. In just a few years, she seemed to have aged more than a decade. The little boy was so thin you could see his bones, looking as if a strong gust of wind would knock him over. That little girl was dressed in tattered clothes. And at 3 or 4 years old, she still put her fingers in her mouth. As for Cheng Xian, ever since the Cheng family went bankrupt, he had given up on himself, smoking and drinking heavily. relying on his parents and wife to support him. How could a man with so little sense of responsibility love someone so deeply? He just can't come to terms with his current life. He regrets making the wrong choice between me and Song Chingran back then. He's crafted this devoted persona for himself to escape reality. The mere sight of such a man offends my eyes. Shortly after we left, terrified shrieks and sobs of children echoed behind us. Cheng Xian hurled everything from Song Qingran's stall to the ground. After venting his rage, he crouched on the ground, clutching his head as he wept bitterly. Song Qingran watched with a pained heart, tears welling in her eyes, while the two children also began to cry along. After Cheng Xian had cried his fill, he stood there for a long time, staring in the direction where I had disappeared. Finally, he staggered his way upstairs. "We're out of liquor. Go buy me a bottle and bring it up." Seeing that Cheng Xian had stopped crying, Song Qingran happily took some money from the cash box and gave it to the young boy. "Go buy your father 2 bottles of good liquor." The little boy refused, and Song Qingran slapped him hard on the back. "You little bastard. If you don't start behaving, I'll throw you out of this house." The little girl beside Song Qingran clung to her brother's leg, crying and screaming, "Don't make my brother leave. Please don't send him away." Song Qingran immediately softened his voice to comfort the little girl. As the boy turned around, tears streamed down his face. He walked alone toward the supermarket in the end. I stared at the boy's retreating figure for a long time, and suddenly remembered my own childhood self. We were the same, always treated differently, set apart from the rest. My daughter beside me wrapped her chubby little arms around my neck and asked in her soft, gentle voice, "Mommy, what are you looking at?" I smiled faintly, watching the jiang meow of bygone days dissipate into the wind. The end. Story 2. A new game has been trending in Tang Qinghao's social circle. Pretend to go bankrupt for a month, testing the loyalty of female companions to ensure authenticity. The challenger's friends and family would all help disguise him. Even the company would install a new boss as a front. Tang Qinghao, wearing a 50 yuan t-shirt and a construction helmet, confidently went to meet the woman he loved, only to be disgustedly thrown out by Shi Tian, who called security on him. He stood frozen for what felt like an eternity before shakily dialing another number. "Su Qingyu, I've gone bankrupt. I've got nowhere to go." A little girl's gentle voice came through the phone, offering comfort. "Don't be scared, Daddy. You can have my room." 1. I was baking a cake in the kitchen when Tang Qinghao called. My daughter, who was playing Eggy Party on my phone, answered it immediately. Whatever was said on the other end made my 4-year-old light up with joy as she came running toward me. She was in such a hurry that she lost one of her shoes. "Mom, this is great. Dad went bankrupt. That means he can finally come to my birthday this year." Bankrupt. The call was still connected. The contact name read ex-husband. The last time I got a call from Tang Qinghao was during New Year's. He only reaches out to me during holidays. He'd drag me to his parents' place to put on an affectionate show, just to humor the elders. But the moment we left, he'd coldly shake off my hand and speed off to comfort Shi Tian. The back seat was piled with gift boxes, while the passenger seat was encircled with red roses, clutching the 10K performance fee he tossed at me. I stood in the biting wind without a trace of sorrow, because now I had 6 months' rent covered for me and 1111. When I heard Tang Qinghao went bankrupt, I just wondered, why didn't he run to his precious Shi Tian, who could do no wrong? Instead, he came to me, the one he can't stand the sight of. Tang Qinghao asked tentatively, "Su Qingyu, I've got nowhere to stay and haven't eaten all day. Could you take me in?" I was about to say no. My daughter clutched at my skirt, her grape-like eyes blinked, brimming with hope and pleading, "Mom, please let Dad celebrate 1111's birthday with us just this once. All the other kids have both parents at their parties." My head dropped as an unexpected pang shot through my heart. I knew 1111 longed for her father's love. Tang Qinghao did genuinely care for 1111. He'd take her to Happy Valley, buy her pretty dresses, and gift her entire sets of princess blind boxes. But one day, 1111 came home with her head hung low, saying she'd never bother her dad again. I dropped the spatula and stormed into the villa. With arms hardened from washing 1,000 plates daily, I slapped Shi Tian with full force, shove her face in the toilet to rinse out that filthy mouth of hers. Tang Qinghao never mentioned seeing 1111 again. But today's 1111's birthday, she just wants her parents by her side. I relented. "Tang Qinghao, 1111 misses you, you could come over for dinner with her. The man on the other end finally exhaled in relief. That particular relief of at least we didn't lose everything. You're still at Jingyu Hua Cheng, right? I'll be right there. I looked blankly. What place? I've never been there. I'm renting at Lotus Garden, just a stone's throw from the kindergarten. Right outside is a whole street of food stalls. At night, the KTV across the street leaks music, and the roach pesticide cart makes its daily rounds downstairs. Far cry from the upscale neighborhood Tang Qinghao described, after a long silence. Tang Qinghao asked for my current address. Even in street vendor clothes, the man's charisma still stood out. The moment he entered, 1111 rushed over and clung to his leg. Tang Qinghao affectionately ruffled her hair, but his eyes turned icy as he scanned the modest two-bedroom apartment. You dare make my daughter live in a place like this, too? My hand paused mid-pour as I made the tea. The interior was tastefully decorated in a clean, minimalist wood style, from major appliances to cartoon doormats. Every item was handpicked by 1111, with me footing the bill. No matter how tough things got, I always made sure 1111 never felt deprived in food, clothing, or shelter. Tang Qinghao started nitpicking the moment he stepped inside. Well, he and Shi Tian live in a 400 square foot villa. No wonder this place feels cramped to him. I dumped the brewed tea into the trash and pulled my daughter closer. 1111, why don't you go check your room for the birthday present mommy hid? The little one burst into the bedroom with wide-eyed delight. My smile vanished as I shot Tang Qinghao a dagger-like glare. This kind of place, who was begging to come here just now? You don't even have a roof over your head anymore. What gives you the right to judge me? Tang Qinghao quickly composed himself. His current persona is a bankrupt guy. Definitely not the CEO type. Tang Qinghao settled onto the couch, looking slightly awkward. You misunderstood. I meant, why aren't you staying at the place I got you? I couldn't understand a word he said. What house? When we divorced, all I had was a suitcase and my 3-month-old Suhexi. The little money I had came from selling the jewelry my in-laws gave me. Tang Qinghao's handsome brows furrowed deeply. Su Qingyu, you bore me a child. Even if I don't love you, I'd never mistreat my own flesh and blood. I had Secretary Qin purchase a house for you and left a substantial settlement fund. Didn't you receive it? A house, settlement funds. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Then it hit me. I didn't take anything. Are you trying to shake me down because you're bankrupt? Tang Qinghao's eyelids narrowed, waves of remorse churning in his eyes. Su Qingyu, I'd rather beg on the streets than extort you. Of all people in this world, you're the one I've wronged the most. My history with Tang Qinghao reads like a soap opera. I'm the orphan child of old Mr. Tang's life-saving benefactor. Adopted by the Tang family at 8, I received paternal favor beyond measure. Madame Tang also adored my gentle disposition. Tang Qinghao, 2 years my senior, treated me like his own little sister. He'd chase off any bullies who dared to mess with me. He took me to see beautiful sights and introduced me to animals. He went to great lengths to help me through the grief of losing my family. As for me, I buried my secret crush in the pages of my diary. Does Su Qingyu like Tang Qinghao? Will Tang Qinghao ever like Su Qingyu? In my senior year, the question was finally answered. Tang Qinghao proposed to me. I was thrilled to discover he liked me too. Like a fool, I married him for just 9 yuan. Little did I know, old Tang gave me 10% company shares as dowry while making Qinghao start from the bottom. Qinghao didn't marry me, he married a better life and future. After marriage, I was lost in a romantic dream. I cooked for Tang Qinghao, ironed his clothes, and picked him up from drinking parties. But during my pregnancy, he had an affair with a considerate intern, Shi Tian, who was actually a year and a half older than me. He said Shi Tian understood him, she was his soulmate. Their love was the real deal. He claimed what we had was just familial affection. Old Mr. Tang saw right through Shi Tian's cunning hypocrisy with his sharp eyes, vowed never to let that vixen cross his threshold in this lifetime. Tang Qinghao came up with a compromise. He wouldn't divorce me, keeping me around to placate his parents, but he'd give Shi Tian every privilege of a legal wife except the marriage certificate. That day marked the 10th day since I'd given birth to Su Hushi. I, who had always been at Tang Qinghao's mercy, yanked out my 4-line, grabbed a fruit knife, and plunged it into my abdomen without hesitation. Marrying Tang Qinghao was my youthful folly, my lovesick delusion, my utter stupidity. his infidelity, treating me like a maid. I had it coming. But I'll die before letting him lay another finger on my daughter. Blood pooled across the floor. Tang Qinghao froze. Panic, terror, and guilt overwhelmed him. His trembling hands pressed against my abdomen. Su Qingyu, don't you dare die. 3. I'm stubborn. If he won't agree to the divorce or give me custody of our daughter, I'll kill myself. Even if you save me, I'll try again until I'm gone for good. If I die, old man Tang will make Shi Tian's life a living hell. To protect Shi Tian, Tang Qinghao signed the divorce papers. The day I left, he gave me strict instructions. We must keep the divorce secret. I still have to play the loving couple with him during family gatherings. I agreed, charging by the session, 10 grand a pop. Tang Qinghao, the man I'd rather die than be with, ended up paying to beg for my attention. He finally lost his composure, grinding his teeth in fury. Do you feel nothing for me? Is money all you care about? Fine, not a single cent for you. I'll wait until you're destitute. Crawling back to me in tears, he kept his word. The financial compensation in the divorce agreement, I never saw a single cent of it. I was truly down and out, but I picked myself up without ever begging him for help, recalling the past. Tang Qinghao pressed his fingers to his forehead. That was just anger talking. A widow with her fatherless child, how could I actually abandon you? But your careless words were my entire 4 years. Tang Qinghao choked on my retort. He scanned the room again. The furnishings weren't cheap, but they hardly screamed wealth. Shi Tian spends thousands on socks, while I've worn these same clothes for years. Tang Qinghao picked up his phone and dialed Secretary Qin's number. Mr. Tang. What can I do for you? Secretary Qin still hadn't adjusted to the new boss. Tang Qinghao's tone unconsciously turned authoritative. For years ago, did you personally deliver the Jingyu Huacheng property I instructed you to buy, along with the 80 million settlement fee, to my ex-wife? 80 million. That's enough to keep 1111 and me comfortable for life. Secretary Qin hesitated. Well, I'm afraid you'll have to ask Miss Shi about this. Her again. A surge of intense hatred welled up in my chest. Shi Tian's already gotten so much. If she dares to take what rightfully belongs to Su Heshi, I'll make sure she regrets it. At 7 in the evening, I carried the Dong Dong sheep cake to the table. 1111 squealed with delight. Wow, Mom, you're amazing. I love you so much. The class group chat was flooded with compliments. Did your mom make this by hand? It's even more accurate than the custom ones I get from stores. I'm so jealous. 1111's mom is seriously multi-talented. She can do fox makeup, craft handmade bags, carve fruit sculptures, and even bake such gorgeous cakes. These past 4 years, I've done every odd job imaginable to make ends meet, forced myself to become a jack of all trades. 1111 personally cut the cake, giving the first slice to me and the second to Tang Qinghao. Daddy, this is the first birthday you've celebrated with me. I'm so happy. Tang Qinghao had been staring blankly at his phone before snapping back to reality and theatrically accepting it. I knew exactly what was distracting him. Today also happens to be Shi Tian's birthday. In previous years, he always spent it with Shi Tian. It's no coincidence that my rival and my daughter share the same birthday. When I was 9 months pregnant, Shi Tian couldn't resist sending taunting messages and photos again. Or worse, she'd send me the freebies that came with the luxury gifts Tang Qinghao bought her as a deliberate insult. She even showed up at the hospital to provoke me in person. On her birthday, Tang Qinghao gave her an engagement ring and promised her a wedding of the century. She came to personally invite me and my daughter to attend, overwhelmed with rage. I went into premature labor. The massive hemorrhage nearly claimed both our lives. Tang Qinghao scolded Shi Tian for the first time. With tearful eyes, Shi Tian pleaded, I just want to be with you openly and honestly. Tang Qinghao pulled her into his arms, his heart aching for her. Hush now. I'm keeping her around to protect you. Just a wall away. I was fighting for my life in the delivery room. Nothing remained in my heart but disgust and despair. The pain was excruciating. Like a dagger to the heart. So when Tang Qinghao went bankrupt, I just thought he deserved it. After finishing the cake, I kicked him out. Tang Qinghao whimpered pitifully. I've got nowhere to go. I shoved him out the door with all my strength. What's it got to do with me? Go find her instead. The hallway light flickered on and off. Tang Qinghao stood motionless outside the door for a long while. His body slid down the door, head hanging in dejection. truth be told. Shi Tian was the first person he sought out. Tang Qinghao thought to himself, for 4 years he'd cherished Shi Tian like a treasure, granting her every whim. Shi Tian would surely be frantic with worry upon hearing of his plight, ready to move heaven and earth. If Shi Tian would just sell one property, she'd pass the test. He couldn't bring himself to truly make things difficult for her. Unfortunately, after sizing up Tang Qinghao's migrant worker attire, Shi Tian couldn't help showing disdain. The man's heart stung as if pricked by a needle. She quickly masked her expression with a smile and welcomed him inside. She suspected Tang Qinghao was orchestrating a birthday surprise twist, first pretending bankruptcy, then delivering the real surprise. But the next moment, Shi Tian saw Tang Qinghao's wealthy friends group chat. The Tang family is done for this time. Even the old Mr. and Mrs. Tang fled overseas overnight. After selling the company, they're still $1 billion in debt. Tang Qinghao would need multiple lifetimes to pay that off. Not necessarily. He bought Shi Tian all those properties and luxury goods, just sell them to cover the debts. Though that means Shi Tian would have to rough it with him. Someone suddenly remembered and said, "Wait, isn't Shi Tian in this group chat too?" Someone else cursed fuck. She got instantly booted from the group chat. Shi Tian's eyes widened in shock. That's brutally honest. Back then, she was always called sister-in-law with respect. Now, they'd kick her while hurling insults. With the storm approaching, she had to prioritize self-preservation. Your family's bankrupt. What's that to me? Did we ever get married? Did your family ever accept me? Why should I sell my house for you? Tang Qinghao's heart pounded wildly, wondering if he'd misheard. How could his considerate, understanding girlfriend suddenly wear such an expression? Tian, what kind of talk is this? Haven't I given you everything short of marriage papers? I'd carve out my own heart for you, for your sake. I even abandoned my wife and child. Tang Qinghao thought these words would make Shi Tian remember their past affection. To everyone's surprise, Shi Tian let out a mocking laugh. These were all given willingly, since when do gifts demand returns? For years of sharing my bed, and you think you get it for free. Besides, seeing Tang Qinghao's bloodshot eyes, Shi Tian's contempt only deepened. A man who'd abandon his own wife and child, you think I'd dare take him? You didn't even care when your wife nearly died in childbirth. Who's to say you won't replace me with mistress number 4 or 5 someday? Tang Qinghao swayed unsteadily, utterly speechless in his defense. Shi Tian tapped her phone. You're useless anyway. As a kindness, I'll tell you why your wife would rather die than stay married. Ever since you climbed into my bed, I've been secretly sending her every photo, our dates, our intimate moments, the gifts you gave me. She really had remarkable patience. I drove her to premature labor before she finally confronted you. Unlike that fool, I'd never be your free nanny or breeding stock. A thunderbolt of realization seared through Tang Qinghao's mind. So Su Qingyu had given him chances, countless chances. Shi Tian finally dropped the act. Young Master Tang, I've stalked every inch of your social media since joining the company. I know your preferences inside out. What you mistook for soulmate connection was just my homework. Playing along with your conversation starters was exhausting. Tang Qinghao snapped, his hands closing around Shi Tian's throat as if to strangle the life from her. You only wanted my money. You exploited my feelings, destroyed my marriage, nearly cost me my child. My father was right, you're nothing but poison. Before Tang could finish, security summoned by Shi Tian dragged him away and tossed him out of the building. Despite it being late June, Tang Qinghao was shivering uncontrollably from the cold. Just then, a group chat named Her True Feelings pinged. The guys who'd just been active in their bros group came specifically to check the results. How bro, we just put on quite the show. Is Sister Tian so desperate she's selling the house to bail you out? Tang Qinghao typed furiously. Your sister-in-law's last name is Su. I'm going to win her back. 5, at 7:20 in the morning, I opened the door. A lanky figure was sprawled across my doorstep. I stepped over Tang Qinghao's waist, while 1111 hopped past cheerfully with her backpack. Tang Qinghao rubbed his sleepy eyes and caught up. He naturally took 1111's hand. I was about to swat it away, but 1111 beamed with a radiant smile. Daddy, could you stay longer at the school gate later? I want everyone to know I have a father. Then they won't spread rumors about Mom, and those uncles won't dare to bother her. Suhexi, I snapped. Tang Qinghao looked at me with sorrow. Once docile as a sloth, I've now become sharp-tongued and formidable. He could easily imagine how much hardship and entanglement one must endure to be completely transformed. Tang Qinghao lifted Su Hushi with one arm. Okay, not just for now, Dad will protect you and Mom every single day from now on. He reached out his right hand to hold mine. But I pulled away. Filthy. Tang Qinghao stands at 188 centimeters tall. His towering presence at the kindergarten gate caused quite a stir. Su Hushi, is that your dad? He's so handsome. He and your mom make such a perfect couple. Why does your mom look so upset? She's completely ignoring your dad. I really didn't want anything to do with Tang Qinghao, but since I needed his help with the housing matter, I stuck with him for the time being. I boarded the bus and took the very back seat. Tang Qinghao sat down beside me. As soon as the bus started moving, I switched to another seat. Tang Qinghao had never ridden a bus before. He stood up too, only to lose his balance and fall backward, bumping into a dog's head. I smirked coldly. The apartment was occupied by an elderly couple. The elderly man immediately pulled Tang Qinghao inside upon seeing him. They turned out to be Shi Tian's parents. Tang Qinghao was stunned. I laughed. What else was there to misunderstand? Shi Tian took over the house that belonged to me and Su Hushi without permission, using it as a retirement home for her parents. This luxury flat spans over 300 square meters with marble flooring and smart home appliances throughout, over a dozen exquisitely decorated rooms. Even the elderly couple's dog has its own dedicated room. The apartment I rented has Suhexi in the master bedroom, which is barely 15 square meters, had to maximize vertical space utilization. The kitchen here comes with a vegetable chopper, automatic wok, and dishwasher, completely hands-free. Yet after chopping fruits all day at the bubble tea shop, my arms ache too much to lift. Still have to slap on a pain patch and power through making dinner. The more I thought about it, the more my heart ached, until I finally crouched down gasping for breath. 4 years of accumulated exhaustion came crashing down all at once. The year after my divorce was the hardest and darkest time of my life. Major companies politely declined when they learned I was a single mother with a 3-month-old baby. I could only take cash-in-hand jobs at places with flexible work environments. 1-year-olds cost the most and get sick easily. The money's gone as soon as it comes in, so I juggled multiple jobs. When exhausted, I'd drink coffee to stay alert, often working around the clock and sleeping in my clothes. I have no husband to lean on, not even a family to catch me when I fall. My mind feels like a rubber band stretched to its limit. It's about to snap. My knees gave way. Tang Qinghao held me tightly, his voice thick with concern. Xiaoye, don't dwell on the bad things. I'm here. I'll protect you. No one will ever hurt you again. When I was little, classmates mocked me for being parentless. Tang Qinghao charged at them without hesitation. As I tended to his wounds, he made that same promise to shield me for life. Yet later, all the storms in my life were brought by him. Only when bankrupt and destitute did he remember our past bond. 6. Tang Qinghao was panicked like never before. He scooped me up bridal style. I gasped for air desperately, like a drowning man. He was taking me to the hospital. I pointed at the milk tea shop across the street. Just get me a bubble tea, please. After drinking half the warm beverage, my expression softened. This is a mental health condition caused by excessive stress. You'll recover quickly as long as you eat something. Tang Qinghao stood dumbfounded, then spoke. Well, I'll take you somewhere nice to eat. Clad in his $60 sneakers, he was about to enter a high-end restaurant. I pulled him back. Aren't you bankrupt? You should watch your spending. Tang Qinghao was initially full of himself. He suddenly seemed to remember something when I spoke, awkwardly adjusting his clothes. I found a hole-in-the-wall eatery. Tang Qinghao wore a conflicted expression. Is this dirt-cheap food even edible? I get it, when he and Shi Tian order takeout, it's always at least 3,000 a pop. I used to deliver food myself, making just a few bucks per order. I've gotten premium delivery requests multiple times, but always passed them to co-workers, because that address was once my home. I refused to accept what my ex-husband and that homewrecker did. These days, Tang Qinghao devours 2 bowls of rice with that 35 yuan beef stir-fry. I said, ask Secretary Qin, is that property under mine and our daughter's names? Hearing the confirmation, the weight finally lifted from my chest. Thank goodness Secretary Qin came through. Right after the meal, I rushed to the housing authority to report the loss. They issued me a replacement property deed in just 40 minutes, property owners. Su Qingyu, Su Hashi, running my fingers over the crimson cover brought me a sense of calm. Afterwards, I made another trip to the electronics mall. An hour later, I knocked on the penthouse door. Uncle and Aunt, I'm truly sorry to say this, but this house belongs to me and my daughter. Your daughter has been illegally occupying it for 4 years. Please vacate the premises as soon as possible. The Shi parents were decent people, which is why I treated them with respect. When they saw the property deed, the elderly couple turned pale and immediately called their daughter. How could you seize someone else's property, and then claim it was Qinghao's gift to us? I've never taken what wasn't mine in my entire life. You've completely shamed our family name, Tang Qinghao denied. I never showed filial piety. I seized the moment to twist the knife. Not only did she steal the house, but your daughter also came between me and Tang Qinghao during my pregnancy, which directly led to the breakdown of my marriage. After the divorce, the settlement money and the house meant for me and my daughter were embezzled by your daughter, the very one you're living in now. My daughter and I suffered for 4 years because of this. Mr. Shi's pupils dilated in shock, pounding his chest in anguish. I then showed Mr. Shi all the taunting messages Shi Tian had sent me. I've kept them undeleted for 4 years. Tang Qinghao's ears burned crimson as he shrank away. Oh. Even the cheating scumbag knows how disgraceful his affair is. The chat logs revealed Shi Tian's shameless, brazen promiscuity. Shi Tian's father nearly coughed up blood in rage, howling at the sky. How could I have raised such a disgraceful beast? With that, he was about to kneel before me. Young lady, this old man begs your forgiveness. I helped Mr. Shi back to his feet. Shi Tian hasn't arrived yet. No need for kneeling now. Shen Tian was greeted by her father's stinging slaps across her face. Despite the beating and scolding, Shen Tian kept her head held high. So what if I stole her man and her house? Where's the fairness in this world? Should I follow your hypocritical righteousness and live in poverty forever? She glanced at me and Tang Qinghao without a trace of guilt, her eyes gleaming with triumph. This place doesn't even count. I own 4 other properties, 2 luxury cars, 200 million in savings, and more designer goods than I can keep track of, right now. I'm the wealthiest person in this room. You two, one drowning in debt, the other a wage slave, think you can take me on. Let's see if you can even afford a lawyer. Do you really have the resources to outlast me? 7. Shi Tian possesses the thickest skin I've ever encountered in my life. If not for Shi Tian, my daughter would have lived like a princess, wanting for nothing. Shi Tian was still ranting. Su Qingyu, kneel down and kowtow 100 times right now. And I might spare you and your daughter. With 2 heavy thuds, Shi Tian's elderly parents fell to their knees before me, tears streaming down their faces as they kowtowed. We've wronged you terribly, young lady, they wept. This is our family's shame. We failed to raise our daughter right. We'll move out immediately. Shi Tian was struck speechless by the scene. I made no move to help the old couple up. I mimicked her earlier expression. See that? The karma for recklessly hurting me and my daughter has fallen upon your parents. There's nothing wrong with a woman having ambition, but that ambition should drive you to work hard, not abandon decency for shortcuts. What others give you comes with temporary rights. They can take it back whenever they choose. Shi Tian's face darkened noticeably, no matter how infatuated Tang Qinghao might be. I doubt he'd willingly gift cars and properties. She's just bullying the poor at this point. I'm turning up the heat. Do you know why you still can't conceive? Because you climbed to your position by trampling on my flesh and blood. Your chance for offspring was doomed long ago. Even unborn children are ashamed to have a homewrecker for a mother. That's why they refused to enter your womb. Last time I visited the villa, I noticed Shi Tian brewing herbal medicine. Having worked at a traditional Chinese medicine clinic, I recognized it instantly. Those were fertility treatment herbs. Exposed about her private condition, Shi Tian's face twisted in rage as she lunged at me. The silent Tang Qinghao stepped between us, gripping Shi Tian's shoulders, yet that was all he did. Shi Tian smirked at me with the confidence of a victor. Of course, Tang Qinghao had always been on Shi Tian's side. He favored her unconditionally. Last time, I made Shi Tian drink toilet water. Tang Qinghao charged over and shoved me violently. My back slammed into the sink before I crashed to the floor, the pain leaving me immobilized for 5 full minutes. I could only watch helplessly as he frantically gathered Shi Tian in his arms and rushed out. Right or wrong, Tang Qinghao would always leave me stranded without support. My eyes dimmed with resignation. I'd long since given up on Tang Qinghao, but at the very least, I hoped he'd stand up for his daughter just this once. Xiaoye. I've got her pinned, you do the honors, hit her till you feel avenged. That single sentence left everyone present stunned. Shi Tian's face froze. Ahao, what are you saying? How could you take her side and bully me? Tang Qinghao sneered and twisted her arms behind her back. You call this bullying? Then what do you call what you did to Xiao Yu and Shi? Beating you up would be letting you off easy. Though unclear why Tang Qinghao suddenly turned against me, I won't hold back. After I slapped him 10 times in succession, old Shi still knelt silently. Mrs. She tried to plead for mercy, but her husband sharply stopped her. This is all your fault, constantly drilling into our daughter's head that she must marry rich. Look what she's done to that man's lawful wife. Debts must be repaid. She's an adult, let her face the consequences of her own mistakes. Shi Tian winced in pain and humiliation, trapped with no escape as tears streamed down her cheeks. Neither her parents nor her boyfriend stood by her side. Complete abandonment, this was what it truly meant. Moments later, the police arrived at her door. I knew Shi Tian was trouble, so I'd already filed a police report. Then I produced the reissued property deed. Shi Tian glared helplessly. Realizing she was cornered, I yanked her hair. What about the 80 million? Or would you prefer fraud charges? Give me a few days, I'll figure something out for you. With that, she slunk away with her parents in tow. 8. Back at the rental, I started packing my things. Suhexi fumbled with the tape. Mom, we're moving. Let's say goodbye to Uncle Sheng. Uncle Sheng. Tang Qinghao paused while hauling heavy items, his eyes filled with questioning. I couldn't fathom where his sudden anger came from. If that 8 million hadn't been stuck in transfer, I'd have kicked him to the curb already. Tang Qinghao still followed Shengping home. At 27, Shengping was tall, fair-skinned and clean-cut. He neither smoked nor drank, his only vice being good food. I brought some fruits and local specialties, then secretly tucked an envelope of money under his sofa, to thank him for all his care over the years. Shengping's eyes glistened with barely concealed emotion. Yeah, could you leave me your address? I'd like to visit you and 1111 when I'm passing by. I didn't hesitate and sent it to him on WeChat. After 1111 fell asleep, Tang Qinghao finally spoke up. That Sheng guy was practically devouring you with his eyes. Don't tell me there's nothing between you two. Tang Qinghao's double standards are downright infuriating. Even if there's something going on, it's none of his business. Shengping does have feelings for me, but what we have is nothing like your sordid affair with Shi Tian. Tang Qinghao found the words cutting, yet couldn't refute them. Shi Tian was indeed despicable, and he himself was no better. I spread my palms, revealing calloused hands. Tang Qinghao, I'm not omnipotent. These hands can't do everything. I can't fix wiring, I can't lift heavy objects, and no matter how careful I am, I still get sick. Shengping saved me, helped me time and again, even took care of 1111 for me countless times. That's why I show my gratitude by treating him to meals and giving him gifts. The reason I never gave him a firm rejection is because I truly had no other choice. Tang Qinghao's accusations betrayed his own guilt. Had he fulfilled his duties as a father and husband for even a single day, I wouldn't be indebted to an outsider. Tang Qinghao asked with concern. You said he saved you, what happened? Truth be told, this matter has some connection to Tang Qinghao. On New Year's Eve after the divorce, I was delivering takeout around the clock. When fireworks exploded ahead, my e-bike skidded and sent me flying meters across the road, lying flat on my back. I felt warm liquid pooling beneath my head. Just then, firework letters bloomed overhead. Shi Tian, my love for you remains in the coming year. I earned $6 per delivery, just to hear a thank you, yet genuine feelings, worthless. At that moment, I shut my eyes, wish I'd never wake up, but all too soon, I found myself caught in someone's arms. I said thanks, but told them not to worry about me. I just needed a moment to catch my breath before getting up. As a pastry chef, Shengping might have pitied my reckless delivery hustle or perhaps been struck by my appearance when he removed my helmet. He drove me to the hospital, covered my medical bills, and even brought me warm meals. A stranger's kindness got me through that difficult night. We were surprised to discover we actually lived nearby after chatting. After being discharged, I pretended to be surprised every time Shengping accidentally ran into me. Of all the men who've deliberately approached me, he's actually quite reliable and considerate. Pity I stopped trusting men long ago. I just wanted to find 1111 a decent male role model who could guide her growth. Tang Qinghao's face flushed with alternating shades of embarrassment as he listened. I'm sorry, I was a real jerk before. I never considered your feelings. You carried all the burdens alone. From now on, I'll take good care of you. I smiled without replying and went to bed, undeterred. Tang Qinghao updated the Her True Feelings group chat about his progress. Upgrade achieved, slept on the couch tonight. And she treated me to lunch today. Gonna bring my A game tomorrow. Congratulations poured in from everyone. Someone who knew me remarked, why didn't you do this sooner? When Xiaoye was Mrs. Tang, she could have demanded money, bags, jewelry, or haute couture from you just like Shi Tian did. But she didn't, she only wanted you. You're the one who left her utterly defeated. In the dead of night, half asleep, I received a message. Darling, I love you so much. I rolled over. You idiot. 9. The next morning, Tang Qinghao got up at the crack of dawn. He eagerly bought breakfast and even helped 1111 comb her hair. During the move, he bustled about making sure I didn't lift a finger. I reckon he's buttering me up because he wants to stay. The guy's flat broke, can't even afford rent. The penthouse has spare rooms, so I'll let him crash here temporarily. Besides, my 80 million still hasn't cleared. Little did I expect, instead of money, I became the target of online harassment. That day, I was ambushed by several people the moment I stepped out, getting beaten and kicked. The front door was vandalized with red paint spelling animal, and the entrance was littered with foul-smelling trash. 1111 rushed to help me in tears, only to be shoved to the ground. Tang Qinghao quickly locked 1111 inside the room and immediately got into a scuffle with several men. Turns out, a secretly recorded video had gone viral online. The video was abruptly edited with no clear beginning or end. It showed two elderly people kneeling and kowtowing to me while I mocked them. At first glance, it looked like outright elder abuse. Shi Tian went live with a bruised face, accusing me of taking the law into my own hands, forcing her elderly parents onto the streets, and extorting 80 million from her. She also carelessly leaked her home address. That's what led to today's drama. Now I get it, she simply doesn't want to repay the money. They're determined to make my life miserable. The image of someone kneeling and kowtowing is highly inflammatory. If the elderly person insists on their story, no amount of talking will clear my name. The moment I realized what was happening, I immediately reported it to the police for evidence collection, and those individuals were quickly apprehended. I then created an account and uploaded a 3-hour-long video. The footage captured the entire day's events without a single cut. The video quality was crystal clear, picking up even the faintest sounds. It was recorded by a micro camera I'd spent ages picking out at the electronics mall. That day when I entered, I discreetly placed it on the bookshelf facing the sofa to avoid future disputes. Over these 4 years, I've encountered countless shady characters and local thugs. I learned long ago that trust should never be given lightly. The moment the video surfaced, public opinion flipped. Shi Tan, who exploited netizens' sympathy, is getting mercilessly roasted online. So it was the wife confronting the mistress and the homeowner kicking out a thief. I'd have beaten her worse. This scheming B*TCH really knows how to twist the truth. Does she have any moral compass left? Even her own parents became tools for her. You think homewreckers have principles? This isn't over yet. I've screen recorded all the provocative messages Shi Tian sent 4 years ago. Then I'll document our suffering over these 4 years with detailed captioned images. I could have exposed Tang Qinghao's infidelity scandal long ago. I've held back this long not for Tang Qinghao's sake, but to protect the reputation of Mr. and Mrs. Tang and their family business. The elderly couple treated me with immense kindness, like their own child. Now that the company's bankrupt and they've moved abroad, beyond the reach of public scrutiny, I have nothing left to restrain me. Since Shi Tian's hell-bent on destruction, I'll make sure she's utterly annihilated. After cutting off Suhex's internet connection, I hit publish. Shi Tian's comment section exploded again. OMG, the vampire of mistresses, not satisfied with stealing men and money, now she's even swiping the ex-wife's daughter's house and alimony. Shameless. Do you get off on sending bedroom photos to the lawful wife? Why don't you star in your own porno? Were you raised without a shred of decency? You drove the wife into premature labor, almost killed both mother and child. Real class act. I've despised homewreckers all my life. If I don't come beat your ass, my name isn't Ma. Shi Tian stayed in hiding for days, terrified. Tang Qinghao and the Tang Corporation also came under fire. Girls, I've screenshot all the lovey-dovey posts from that cheating scumbag and his mistress. Look at this. While his wife and daughter were struggling, this bastard was vacationing with his side chick. That designer bag alone could have supported the mother and child for 4 years. How dare you take your mistress out for $1,000 steaks while your own daughter can't even afford formula? What kind of monster are you? 10. Are you actually human, dressing up your mistress like some glamorous seductress while your wife wears rags worth less than $50? What unspeakable crime did she commit to deserve this? Your wife grew up an orphan, and you team up with your mistress to torment her. Does your conscience even exist? Oh wait, you don't have one. A decent man wouldn't have cheated on his pregnant wife. When the torrent of insults came pouring in, Tang Qinghao was sitting right beside me. I watched expressionlessly as he sobbed uncontrollably, slapped himself, and downed hard liquor. I couldn't understand. I was the one suffering through this ordeal. If even I wasn't crying, what right did he have to break down? Oh, is he upset because Shi Tian got criticized, compared to their comment sections? Mine is much more supportive, just full of comforting and encouraging messages. The wife is absolutely stunning. Even without makeup she outshines the other woman by miles. How could someone so wonderful be treated this way? What does it take for a woman to be truly loved? My younger sister worked at my shop 3 years ago, raising her daughter alone. She survived on just steamed buns and water, yet managed to provide well for her child. The little girl never fussed. Both mother and daughter showed incredible strength. Sis, did you get your house back? What about the relocation compensation? Has that bastard paid you back? If not, we'll get it for you. I responded to each message. Their burning sincerity traveled through the cables, giving me strength. Those who assaulted me last time came to apologize, compensated me, fixed the damages, and even brought gifts for 11/11. Their compassion was being exploited too. Soon after, several people rushed to Shi Tian's building to hang banners. Unit 801 houses a mistress who forced the legal wife into premature labor, stole the wife's daughter's property, and welcomes all unmarried men. Shi Tian's door kept getting knocked on. Some came to assault her, others to take advantage. She lives in constant fear every day. Someone carried multiple speakers, blasting messages on loop around the neighborhood. Has Shi Tian repaid the money today? Others even rented the apartment across from Shi Tian. Broadcasting 247 with high-definition equipment. To think someone actually broke down her door and beat her senseless. She's parents became social pariahs, shunned by friends and relatives. The father was so enraged he had to be hospitalized. Shi Tian was sobbing uncontrollably, begging me for mercy over text. Letting her off is simple. Pay me back, not just the 80 million, every cent he spent on you before the divorce, including hotel bills. Second, a public apology. 3 days later, I received 85.04 million and Shi Tian's in-person video apology. Thinking the lesson was enough and the money secured, I posted online to put the matter to rest. Shi Tian finally caught a brief respite. Then, another person's apology video thrust her back into the eye of the storm. Tang Qinghao gave a detailed account of his entanglement with Shi Tian. Shi Tian was quite the troublemaker. She set her sights on Tang Qinghao as soon as she joined the company. She played to his preferences and engineered chance encounters. Fully aware he was married, she still deliberately flirted and seduced him. Tang Qinghao couldn't resist temptation and had multiple affairs with Shi Tian during my pregnancy. He admitted being blinded by greed and swayed by Shi Tian's sweet talk, which led to many poor decisions. He deeply regrets hurting those who loved him. Only after going through so much did he realize who truly mattered in his life. From now on, he'll make amends through actions, not just words. He seeks no forgiveness, only to make amends to his wife and daughter, to fulfill his duties as both a husband and a father. We welcome public scrutiny from netizens. Half the comment section is hurling abuse, while the other half awaits his next move. Tang Qinghao became incredibly kind to me, so kind that he'd even wash my hair for me, so kind that my fruits always came peeled, but being good to me alone is far from enough. I mixed a sidecar for Tang Qinghao. Do you know why Shi Tian dares to mess with mine and 1111's things so brazenly? The glass paused at his lips. Because I can't tell right from wrong, I favor her. I shook my head, because no matter how she hurts me, she's never faced consequences. Yes, he downed it in one gulp. 2 days later, Tang Qinghao sued Shi Tian, demanding the return of all gifts and expenses. The legal team was incredibly aggressive. I asked how he could afford them. He said they worked pro bono. They'd reached out to him, hoping to gain publicity from the high-profile case. Shi Tian managed to return some of the properties, luxury items, and cash, though only partially. Her daily expenses were both excessive and extravagant. Every penny she'd taken would now be repaid in full. She was truly broke and couldn't repay. Defaulting isn't the end, there are other consequences. Tang Qinghao's final gift to Shi Tian was a pair of silver handcuffs and an iron cell. Netizens applauded, calling it poetic justice. Tang Qinghao found Shi Tian's belongings inauspicious and promptly sold them off. He gave me the 500 million from the sale as compensation, but I sent it back. The 80 million I have is enough, since your family went bankrupt. Focus on repaying debts first, or start a small business and work hard. Bring your parents home soon. Elderly folks struggle abroad. My reaction caught Tang Qinghao off guard, though it shouldn't have been surprising. I deeply care for Mr. and Mrs. Tang. He accepted it, saying, all right, consider it a loan from you. Tang Qinghao posted the screenshot in the group chat. She gave me 500 million. The Her True Feelings group chat exploded. Damn, how? Who knew a game could actually reveal someone's true colors? Holy shit, 500 million. Where'd you find such an amazing wife? Were you blind to let her get away? Xiaoya's had such a hard life these years. You really failed her. Stop lying to her. The group name Her True Heart stings like salt in a wound. Can deceit ever win true love? Days later, Tang Qinghao confessed he'd been pretending to be poor, all to test me and Shi Tian. Though surprised, I considered this good news. Mr. and Mrs. Tang are unharmed. Shi Tian revealed her true colors, and 1111 regained her father's love. I asked what the wager was. A pink diamond worth over 50 million. I'll help you win it, but it's mine if we do, seeing I wasn't pressing the matter. Tang Qinghao beamed with delight. Of course, sweetheart, he said it with effortless familiarity. His fingers brushed my ear, finding nothing but bare skin. That afternoon, Tang Qinghao dragged me to the mall for a shopping spree. Jewelry, clothes, handbags. I accepted everything Tang bought, throwing in a couple of flattering remarks like Shi Tian would. He was absolutely delighted to splurge. Dressed in a red gown adorned with jewels, I radiated elegance and vitality. Tang Qinghao posted photos online, drawing sharp comments from netizens. That's more like it. Compensate your wife and kids at this standard. I'll be watching you daily. The days to come, 1111 and I are either watching Disney fireworks, getting floral hairpins in Gwangju, or enjoying Hainanese coconut chicken. Happiness you can see with your own eyes. Netizens gradually let their guard down. Only when I saw Tang Group's reputation improve and stock prices rise did I finally feel at ease. Made a call to Mr. Tang's father. On the day our bet concluded, I received that pink diamond necklace and got added to Tang Qinghao's inner circle chat. Wearing the necklace, I went to meet the person Tang Qinghao had originally intended it for. Shi Tian looked gaunt and pale, with a fresh wound on her forehead. I broke the silence first. Did you know Tang Qinghao faked bankruptcy? It was all a loyalty test. Shi Tian froze for 2 seconds before flying into a rage. What did you say? His faking it, impossible. His own brothers cut him out of their circle. I even went to his company to check. They've got a whole new boss now. That's someone he hired. Shi Tian kept shaking her head as if deeply shaken. Then, eyeing my designer-clad figure, she recognized these were the trophies of a victor. You passed the test. You'd actually pay his debts. Bless your foolish little heart. I deflected with a smile. You're capable enough to make it on your own. At least you won't end up in jail. Men are unreliable. They only ever love themselves. 12. A bitter smirk flickered across Shi Tian's face before 2 silent tears trailed down. I never intended to touch your house or money, but I just can't swallow this injustice. How dare he lie beside me while warning me to keep it from you? Why was it you who forced the divorce, yet he refused to agree? Why after everything ended, did he voluntarily give you so much money? Why on the day you left, did he hide away crying alone? watching Shi Tian's hysterical outburst, it suddenly dawned on me. No wonder you lost, you keep making foolish moves. Maybe just a little. But Shi Tian fell in love with Tang Qinghao. As for why Tang Qinghao treated me so well, probably because, that year when I was most innocent in love, Tang Qinghao handed me a share transfer agreement. He lied, calling it a wedding planning document, and made me sign it. I pretended not to even glance at it, signing with effortless flourish. Back then I loved him, ready to give him everything, to fuel his ambitions. Tang Qinghao always knew. I never cared for money, only him. But what's the point, really? He fell for someone else in the end. Coming back to chase me now just shows he finally understands the value of true love. But my love for him had long since faded. It died completely when I saw him embracing Shi Tian in the hallway, right after I'd nearly died giving birth to our child. Still lying on the stretcher, at summer's end, Tang Qinghao produced a contract, his palm covering the top portion. Just sign at the bottom for 1111's transfer paperwork. His eyes softened with a faint smile. I clearly spotted terms like 20%, shares, and transfer in the text. Yet I feigned disinterest and signed my name in a flash. Tang Qinghao slipped the documents into my bag, gazing at me with unmistakable tenderness. I knew exactly what was coming next, the inevitable reconciliation proposal. With a smile, I said, "Thanks, big brother." The term stung Tang Qinghao, who suddenly stepped forward and pulled me into a crushing embrace. "Xiao Yu, don't call me brother. I want to be with you. You know I love you." When we divorced, it wasn't for Shi Tian's sake. I was terrified you'd hurt yourself again. You'd rather die than be with me back then. I have my pride too. I wanted to reach out, but how could I possibly come crawling back to you? Tang Qinghao's absurdity nearly made me laugh. He's just greedy, wanting to have it both ways. But that decisive cut I made back then left him seething with resentment for 4 whole years. Yet I've long since let it go. Brother, I was mistaken before. What I thought was romantic love was actually familial love. You'll always be family to me. The bullet from 4 years ago struck Tang Qinghao right between the eyes. He desperately denied it. No, you do love me. I can feel it. You've just been through too much pain. Let's take time to rediscover what we once had. Okay, I suddenly asked in a calm voice. If Shi Tian had passed the test, you wouldn't have called me in the first place, would you? Tang Qinghao opened his mouth but couldn't bring himself to deny it. The memory of that moment rendered him speechless. I nodded, my heart long since undisturbed by any ripple of emotion. Brother, I'll go back and help 1111 get ready for her transfer. As I stepped out, I faintly heard him say, "If I didn't love you, why would I have married you? That's his issue to deal with, not mine. All I know is, 20% equity yields over $1 billion in annual dividends. Trading 500 million for multiple billions, now that's what I call a sweet deal." I stumbled upon the group chat her true feelings on the day Tang Qinghao got cyberbullied to tears. He drank himself into a stupor, completely wasted. 13. A message popped up. "Bro, how, with this whole mess blowing up, are we still doing the loyalty test?" Like some strange compulsion, I kept staring at it. Little did I know my birthday would become the key to his heart. That's how I learned about their little game. And I discovered Shi Tian lost favor by failing the challenge, which means I can't afford to lose. Knowing Tang Qinghao's generous nature, giving up 500 million would only lead him to reward me with multiples of that amount. So I put on an act of treating money like dirt and gained Tang Qinghao's complete trust. How ironic, a group of trust fund kids who play with people's emotions named their chat her true heart. True heart. What's that worth in cold hard cash? Money is what really matters. Having money is the best. With money comes security, confidence, assurance, and options. On my way home, I treated myself to a sophisticated dress. This will come in handy when I assume my new position at the company next week. Mr. Tang also gave me a reward yesterday. He's putting me in charge of the branch office. Passing by the toy store, I bought 1111 the Lego bear she'd been wanting for ages. I was wondering how to make her understand that Daddy would now be her uncle. 1111 accepted it calmly. It's okay, because Daddy is a traitor, right? Between Aunt Shi Tian and me, he chose to abandon me. Between Aunt Shi Tian and Mommy, he didn't choose Mommy either. So the most important person to me isn't Daddy, it's Mommy. And I'm the most important to Mommy too. I never expected a 4-year-old could say something like that. I knelt down and hugged her tightly. I'll make Su Hexi a real princess. pave her path with golden petals, Tang Qinghao got his heart broken. He holed up in his villa for ages, then spent half a day sitting outside Jingyu Huacheng. Eventually he returned to the family estate. The parents were basking in the sunshine in the courtyard. He went straight upstairs to the second floor and opened Su Qingyue's room. He lay down on her bed and took a nap. He would be staying here for a while. He woke up and opened the drawer, finding only a few belongings inside: her elementary school hair clip, high school glasses, and the necklace she bought with summer job earnings, and a handful of diaries. He took out the diaries and began reading them one by one. He couldn't help but smile when reading about childhood memories. Gradually, Su Qingyue's diary transformed into love letters, pages filled with a young girl's secret longing for her elder brother. The more Tang Qinghao read, the blurrier his vision became. The final page held just a single line: "Does Su Qingyu like Tang Qinghao? Will Tang Qinghao ever like Su Qingyu?" The 18-year-old Su Qingyu transcended time to confront the 28-year-old Tang Qinghao. His hand instinctively moved to write that one word. Unfortunately, he didn't have a pen on him. There were no pens in the other two drawers either.